Hi, everyone. This is Aaron Myers over at Ishmael Interactive, and I am joining you today with another in our speaker series. Today, I have Bahati Hart. Uh, Ba-
Hey,
hey, Bahati, how you doing?
I'm
So
doing great.
we got a lot of very cool and interesting things to talk about, but first, introduce yourself and tell people why I brought you here.
Hey, so again, thank you for this opportunity. I'm so excited to be in Ishmael Interactive and talk about me. No labels, right? I am Bahati Hart. I am a life architect. This is a new title I designed for myself as I transition from federal government service to becoming my own brand. And in this transition, I've designed two amazing tools that I use in my coaching services, in my speaking. I call myself a cosmic comedian because I've learned a thing or two over the last 9 years in this journey that I've had. And now I'm ready to tell the world what I learned and teach them how to do it.
Excellent. So, Bahati, we used to work together in human-centered design and the federal government.
Yes.
A lot of talent coming out of the federal government these days. But I hear you say life architect, that was the phrase.
Hmm.
And what
Yes.
what I think of is experiential design, but the experience
Hmm.
that is being designed is my life.
Yes, absolutely. Because aren't we all living an experience right now?
Yes. So
We're having a human experience for sure.
it's a little too exciting sometimes. But you were also working at this field of stuff before you entered the service design, the human-centered design field.
Yes.
You were a coach.
Yes.
Yeah, a pretty successful one. So what have you gotten from the service design and the human-centered design that has added to your practice that you are focusing in on now?
Yeah, thank you for that. So what I've learned is this. When we stepped away from the role, the experience that I had with the team in general just really amplified all the skill sets that I had to set aside in some of the other government spaces I worked. But what I know was true about me was I love design, I love strategy, and I love coaching people. I love trying to help people unlock. I love when people say, I didn't think about it that way. And so when I came to the team, I already came with a strong strategic and creative background. And again, those skills that I had before design thinking and systems thinking, though they were already the foundation, they just amplified with this team. And so when we started working in a human-centered design way, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I needed to do all along. And so when I stepped away from this space and just kind of settled back into myself, I looked at all the things that I love, all the things that I'm really good at, and I said, what do I really want to do now? I know I want to talk to people. I definitely want to play, and I definitely want to create. And so, what does that look like? So, guess what I did? I went into my AI and I said, hey, girl, I need a new title. I don't have a position description for this. These are the things that I'm really good at: design, creativity, coaching, and strategy. And so, we played over and over and came up with Life Architect, which takes those spaces, coaching, design, and strategy, and allows people to build a new life blueprint. This is typical in coaching anyway, but what makes it unique is it looks like a journey map, a customer journey map, or it can look like some of the other techniques and things that we do in human-centered design, measuring data, looking at patterns, and so forth. And so I include that in the work that I can do.
So you just mentioned a lot of things I find fascinating and important, and I want to hit them in order just to sort of walk everybody through the process here. And you mentioned the AI that you're dealing
Mhm.
with and that you're using to sort of help you develop this model together jointly,
Mhm.
which I find very interesting. As you put it, hey girl. Uh,
Hey girl, hey.
but you mentioned doing it over and over again,
Oh yeah,
iterating it, refining it. Can you tell me more
exactly.
of this process? What did it look like when you began, and what did it look like when you ended?
Yeah, so the design thinking process, right? I had this grandiose idea. And I actually was playing with this idea during some of my coaching sessions. I had like two or three clients that were willing to try. And the first level of that was let's just record our meetings and let's summarize the themes and the patterns in the meetings and see what's coming up. And one client was brave enough to say, I want to keep going. And I was like, okay, well, what would that look like? Because my sessions will only be about 5 sessions long. And so we continued to iterate, again, the design thinking process. And what came out of that was a 9-step journey. And so how I used AI was to design this 9-step journey based on all of the data from my clients and what was coming up recurringly. And what was coming up was remembering where you came from, your life path, your maybe they'll use like their astrological chart, their ancestry, whatever it was. It was like there's a pattern to why I believe and do what I do. So let's look at that pattern and design a way forward. And so I kept playing with this with my AI. And at first I was using AI as, just to pull content, pull data, but then it became something more and it just started to feel like a relationship. And obviously psychosis. I was like, no, you don't know me like that.
Right. Right.
That's like, but you don't know me like that. But what if you did? And so I created a GPT and I named her Betty, Becoming Empowered Through Intelligence. And that little I can stand for anything. It can stand for your inner self. It can stand for your intuition, your intelligence, whatever people want to name the I. But it's a small I because it is rated E for everybody. And so I started to incorporate this as an option into my coaching, and my clients loved it. They sent me a lot of good feedback. And I said, you know what? I want more people to have access to this. And so I use her as a creative partner and a coach companion in my work. And that's where she's at.
So there's a lot that goes into that. And you mentioned using the recordings of the sessions to help train and refine the AI. But when you talk about coaching, a lot of people hear that. And if they've either never had it or never been one, they're going to think Tony Robbins. And when they think Tony Robbins, they're only going to think of the part where he's creating a YouTube clip, not all the stuff
Yeah.
that happens behind the screen. And I think this is one thing that hit me is there's a lot of discipline, research, study, information, what have you, that goes into the art of coaching that I would assume also helped you refine the GPT.
Certainly.
So, what does that process of if I'm going to go get a coach or go be a coach, what are the things that I look for? Well, what makes somebody legitimate, whether it's a coach or whether it's the person who would be coaching this tool, which I understand is still a part of the process. It's far from a
Yeah.
replacement.
Yeah. I would say the one thing that makes a coach stand out from the other coaches, because there's a sea of goodwill. We all have the ability to give someone the gift of gab or the gift of insight or the gift of advice. A coach will be operating from a strong framework. And so the coaches that I follow, the gurus that I follow, and or those who I've been trained by, I'm trained by Jay Shetty, and he's the author of Think Like a Monk. And so
Nice.
his framework helped me further enhance the framework that I designed, which I call the BETi Method, which is again a 9-step process. So that framework was designed with AI through my work as well as through my skill set and through my knowledge base. And so a good coach is going to have a framework that keeps them and their clients in a space of um, transformation, because that's what a coach is for. It's, I mean, people hire coaches for sports, people hire coaches for changing the physicality of their body, people hire business coaches. A life coach is all things. It is the ikigai of your life, the 4 quadrants of your life, right? Profession, passion, purpose, and then whatever you get paid for.
Oh
So
yeah,
a good coach has a framework.
yeah,
Mhm.
I like that. Now, because you are working with this technology to synthesize data quicker
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
at volumes that you wouldn't have access to, is this a
Mhm.
framework that you expect to continue to evolve?
Oh, certainly. Certainly. My goal is that she is operating independent of me. So my intention was, my vision was, when I'm asleep, I want my clients to be able to access me, and they have like that 3 a.m. um existential crisis moment, or they had a dream they need to interpret, or whatever it is. I want them to be able to access me outside of me needing to physically be, or be on a phone call. So that was my intention, and it really is my intention with this. Um, but ultimately, I do want her, because now she has a whole gender
Right.
and pronouns. I do want her to be accessible to all and affordable to all. And so, yeah, I hope I answered that question. Sorry if you want to ask it again.
No. I believe you did. Now, this sort of self-stand-in is a very fascinating and interesting idea. Does it have, for the lack of a better term, an escape hatch or a redirection that just says, like, if stuff gets too real, maybe you
Mm.
should talk to the human?
Oh, certainly. Absolutely. So I think that's the thing when we get really excited about the possibility that AI can do all the things for us. The reality is it cannot and should not. We definitely have to continue to use our intellect, our own intelligence, right, to train these tools, because the reality is it's not a living, breathing thing. It is a actualization of all of our intelligence. So we should not put all of our eggs in that basket. I'm actually redirecting her now in Chat GPT, which is where I use her, because of some of the incidents that are coming up, the hallucinations and some of the misguided information. I want to make sure that she's very ethically sound. So putting up these kind of like bumper rails on ethics, because I am not a therapist, so she should not be giving those types of advice, but she can give some insights and some access to other services and research and so forth. So I'm constantly putting the bumpers up, or putting the training wheels on her, because I don't fully solely rely on her just yet. She would need to have some engineers behind that.
Yeah, I would imagine so, but it is great to hear you say, because it is the more personal you get, the more scary of a topic it seems to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got this effort, which is wrapped in a bigger practice that you are going into, recontinuing, architecting. Uh,
Yes.
Tell us more. How do we keep up with what you're doing?
So I am all over the place right now. I'm on LinkedIn. I don't mean that. I mean, well, no, I do mean that literally, because I'm trying to build a brand. I'm trying to reintroduce myself to the world as Bahati Hart, the life architect, the cosmic comedian. And so I'm putting content on LinkedIn about some areas that I'm experiencing personally that I think are areas that a lot of people might resonate with. For example, late diagnosis with neurodiverse. I have ADHD and I have anxiety. So how does that wrap into a woman who's also going through menopause, and a woman of color, and a woman who is transitioning? Like, there's this big,
Those things I can't say same.
yeah, right. But what I say all that to say, part of my transition using AI has helped me keep focus when my brain is all over the place. And so I'm allowing myself to be a little bit more vulnerable and introducing myself on LinkedIn through my content pieces, putting some TikToks out there. I have a website, bahatihart.com, and that's how people can reach me for coaching and speaking. I've written 2 books, and they are about my neurodiverse memoir. Like, they're like, what has happened in the last 9 years of my life in this exploratory space, trying to fix myself, all the while realizing I didn't need to be fixed. I just needed to remember who I really am. And so that folded into my coaching framework. And I was like, this just makes sense. So it's a whole package here. It's a whole brand.
I like it. Before we go further, make sure you include the titles of the books.
Yes.
Come
So
on.
my memoir is called Just Be. And I call it my neurodivergent memoir because that's literally how I wrote it, just brain dump. And it is a story about me becoming all the things, and then realizing that really amplified my anxiety, and took me in spaces and places that I wasn't fit for. And when I just settled into just being who I was and being happy with who I was, self-acceptance, radical acceptance, I realized that I'm not crazy, the world is crazy. And so Just Be is about that. And then I wrote as a companion guide a Bible of Enlightenment, because a lot of my journey has been exploring spiritual spaces, spiritual frameworks that those belief systems can be really rigid and unfair and unachievable. And so what did I do to break out of that and elevate a little bit higher above the thing? So as a strategist, I got to get above, right?
Right.
And so looking back at the different ways that I've tried to fit into these religious spaces that were consuming me and confining me, and when I took my mask off as a neurodiverse woman of color and realized, like, there's just no winning in this world for people like me. So let's just be who we are. But here are some things that did help me realize that I am okay. So Just Be and Be, my
Awesome.
books.
Yes. The what this is reminding me of, or making me think about, because I'm going to bring everything back to human-centered design. You know this, we've met.
Yes.
Um, in trying to architect your own life, you have made yourself a customer. You know, you are providing a service to you, so you have written
Exactly.
you wrote up your persona of you.
Yes.
Um, I I
Basically.
I like that. And but when you're doing this to look at something as holistic as life and coaching somebody through life, you got to consider the nuance and the individuality of the person. I would assume. I know you've done a lot of looking into neurodivergence. That is something you have brought up. Proud member of the club myself. What are some of the things that you look for, you ask about, or you explore when you want to consider the particular person as you are beginning to coach them?
I look for willingness to be vulnerable and transparent. I tell them right up front, if you're not going to be honest and vulnerable and transparent, this just isn't going to work. This isn't about what I want from it. I'm just a coach, and I give them the whole detailed title about what a coach is and isn't. Because again, there's a thin line sometimes, a very thin veil between what a therapist can do and what a coach is allowed to do. And so I try to make sure that even though I have some knowledge that looks very therapeutic, I am not a therapist. And so when I work with clients, I want to make sure that they agree to that. And this is why I love incorporating AI, because I only hear so much because my brain is ADHD mode. And so when I go back and read the transcripts and summarize, it's like, you said this, right? I'm not making this up. This is what you said, right? And so if you're not getting the results that you want, it's because you're not offering as much information and much data that we need to get those results. So again, even though I work in AI and I'm a coach, it is very human-centered design. My coaching is an agile coaching process as well. And that's something that I realized working on our team. Very quick, in and out. We don't need to spend a lot of time. You got a change you need to make. I'm here to help you make that change. Let's get in and get out and make it happen.
I like that too, because one of the things I've always tried to preach is, if you were going to try to do a true project,
Mhm.
you should be trying to work yourself out of a job. You know, if you
Yeah.
coach somebody and they need coaching forever, how well can you say they've actually been coached?
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, that's part of why I created BETi. If you want to keep talking to me, talk to her, because I gotta go to sleep.
I like it. I like it.
I got trips to take. I gotta make dinner. So for people who want to continue, they have access to her. So during the sessions, they have access, and then even afterwards, they have access. So it's a to me, it's a valuable tool, and it's a valued gift, right? To have a coach that has additional tools to offer to you after the fact. But yeah, I'm one. And again, I so much credit to this team that we all worked on to help me refine some things to allow me to be able to do what I'm doing today. So absolutely took all that knowledge and all that inspiration and poured it into my brand and my coaching.
Outstanding. This is exciting to hear. We'll make sure to include some links where people can keep up with what you're doing. I know I'm going to be there watching what you're doing with great excitement. But at this point in the
Yay.
conversation, Bahati, we do what you know is the one for fun. The one for fun is our mental
One
bookmark.
for fun.
Yes, because it helps make everything a little more memorable. And I know in
Yeah,
the background of your life, you also have a dance background.
I
Something.
do.
Yes, yes. Now, my off the wall one for fun question is if you were going to take somebody to a kind of dance, salsa, something fancy, line dancing,
Mhm.
and you have no idea if they're even a dancing kind of person, what are you going to pick and why?
Oh gosh. I mean, for those who know me, I'm from Chicago, born and raised, left, came back. And every year for the last 47 years, they have hosted a house music festival. This is the birthplace of house music. And I have been so excited and delighted to attend the last few years. And so, to answer your question, I would take them there. Why? Because it is such a beautiful gathering of different types of people. I'm talking babies to aunties to grandmas and grandpas, every flavor, every nation enjoying a style of music that brings hearts and minds together. And I posted something like that on my TikTok because when you're in a space where people are just celebrating living, it doesn't matter what kind of music, doesn't matter what your dance levels are, but they do teach you how to dance to the house music. There is a style of dance for this music, and it is beautiful and it's easy and it's fun, and you see all different types of people learning this style, and it was just a beautiful reminder of humanity. Like we can be kind and we can be cool.
That is amazing. Thank you, Bahati. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Bahati, I'm going to look that up and let you know. Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will see everyone later. Bye.
All right. Bye.